Coming to you from Southern California, this is Autoline in LA. Here again is John McElroy.
Welcome to my discussion right now with Jack Spurney, the General Manager of Honda Performance Development. Great to have you here, Jack.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So for those who don't know, what is Honda Performance Development?
We represent the car racing for Honda and Acura now in North America. So we're basically the racing entity, essentially, in terms of coordinating the racing, but is also supplying engines and, on the LMS side, chassis as well.
So you're both in the IRL and ALMS.
That's
then.
correct.
And let's talk a little bit about the facilities that you have and what all that you do. I mean, starting right here, you build these Indy engines.
We are the sole supplier for the Indy Racing League currently, and so we provide the engines to the series, and as well as we we design and build the engines for the LMS series as well. The facility that you asked about is up in Santa Clarita, and we have about 120, I believe it's 123,000 square feet of space, office and engine build space. We have a number of dynos, quality labs, design areas, and so we have a capability of doing, as I mentioned, designing and building engines and on the LMS side, chassis as well.
Talk a little bit about the quality. How do you do your quality checks? I've not heard of that sort of thing in a racing engine facility.
We do have a quality lab that we use some very sophisticated equipment that is able to take the drawings that we create and electronically correlate the data from the drawings with the three-dimensional objects to the level of a micron. I mean, to a micron level, I should say. And so it's very accurate. The technology alone has advanced significantly, both in the design of the engine and the materials that we use, in the way we check for quality and the way we test. We have several dynamometers in our facility, and we'll do a tremendous amount of durability testing before the engines even hit the track. And the durability testing is especially tough on the engines. On the dynos, by the way, we're able to simulate racing conditions fairly closely, so we're able to correlate with some actual track data. And by the time we get it to the track, we have a fair amount of confidence. Of course, we want to test it out on the track as well. But quite honestly, it's an exhaustive process. I think that the competition in racing increasingly forces manufacturers and teams to really focus on quality and reliability, and it's just a natural evolution, I think. In terms of quality, though, I will say that I think our efforts show quite a bit because, for example, racing engines undergo a tremendous amount of stress. And last year, for the entire year of the Indy Series, we had one engine failure for the entire series for just under 400,000 miles, which, and that includes practice, racing, qualifying, everything. So we're quite proud of that particular fact. And on the LMS side, where we have competition, we did not have a single engine failure during the entire season. So we're pretty happy with the results our quality efforts yield.
I'm very intrigued that you all are also into chassis now in ALMS. What led to that?
We wanted more control over the performance of the chassis. You can actually get you can get a greater improvement in performance for your dollar on the chassis side, and so we wanted greater control. And so we got into chassis just last year, and we purchased some garage chassis and modified them so significantly that when we had them homologated by the ACO, they were changed enough that we could brand them under the Acura brand. And so, as you know, we won our inaugural race at Sebring last year with the new ARX chassis with the Andretti Green team. And so we felt that plus our engine was able to have a lot to do with the success of our inaugural event at Sebring. So it was a good day for us.
Well, Jack, thanks so much for coming in and talking about Honda Performance Development. It's been great having you here.
It's been a pleasure.
I got to hightail it out of here and go look at the Honda motorcycle race shop. One of the coolest aspects of Honda's headquarter campus is that they run all of their motorcycle racing activities out of here. I'm going to meet with Chuck Miller right now, who's going to give us a tour, so come on along. Hi, Chuck.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Really good.
Great. Let me show you around Honda Racing.
Let's go.
Great. What we got here, actually inside this area is our motorcycle race shop for the road race team. As you can see, the bikes are all apart. The technicians are working on the chassis. This particular area right here, the chassis technicians work throughout all around the motorcycle. They pull the engines out of the chassis and hand them over to the engine technicians, and the engine technicians work in another area. I'll show you that area next.
Let's go.
Here we are inside the engine room. The engine technicians, basically their job is after an event, a test, a race, they'll come back here, disassemble the engines, inspect all of the parts, make sure that everything falls within its spec or it replaces them. Then they reassemble the engines, and the engine's next process is to come into the dyno area.
Which is right next door here, right?
Right next door. Let me show you that.
Perfect timing. We've got one on the stand and going.
Actually, inside the dyno area, the technician will put the engine on a fixture and basically run it here. Make sure that the engine runs, it shifts, goes through the proper break-in schedule. After that, they will disassemble the engine and do a final inspection before it goes into the crate or the machine for the race.
How high do these things rev?
They'll rev to about 15,000 RPM.
It's a lot of revs.
Great, John. Let me show you a little bit in our motocross race shop. It's set up very similar as the road race team. Each technician has his own work area, but this is a great example of what they do every week. They disassemble the bike completely. Every nut and bolt part gets laid out on the bench, cleaned, it's inspected, it's measured. On this side, you can see all of the chassis parts, suspension parts, every nut and bolt of the frame. And then over here, the guys disassemble each engine also. Another example of every engine part that's inside, they take a look at it week after week. There's 28 events they do this, and complete disassembly and then reassembly before it goes into the dyno area, before it goes into the race bike.
So they could do this with their eyes closed or in their sleep?
No, they really do. They do it so much, and that's without counting all the testing and all the other development we do. They're really the best guys in the industry to do this type of job.
Well, show me what you do in terms of development.
Well, that'd be over in our R&D area. Let me take you over to R&D and show you where we do all that. All the research and development for the motocross and supercross team gets done right inside this area. You know, development is so many different things and it overlaps in so many different areas, but engine development's everything from pistons and cam profiles, development into even adjusting carburation and different carburetors on these types of machines. But really this is the heart and soul of everything that goes on in our race department. This department feeds the race team, which feeds the riders and ultimately ends up on the racetrack.
Well, Chuck, this has been great having you taking me through and showing me a real insider's look of what's going on at Honda Racing.